I do just want to clarify that I am not a doctor, I am not a therapist, I am not a specialist in any of this. This is just me sharing with you my personal experience and the knowledge that I'm learning as I'm going along this journey. Hi everybody, welcome back to Ardelle Vision, where it is my hope to inspire you to capture the vision of your life. If you are new to my channel, hi, hello, welcome. Please subscribe and remember to click that gray bell to be notified the moment I upload another video every Wednesday and on the weekends on all things ADHD, mental well-being, and personal development. You can clearly tell by the title of this video that we are going to be talking about emotions. I am a very emotional person, so I was really interested in the findings that I've discovered while digging into some research on ADHD and, well, specifically emotional dysregulation, but just emotions in general. Because I've always identified as a highly sensitive person, and then looking into ADHD and the emotional side of things, it's just interesting that it is definitely something that is a part of having ADHD. Specifically, when it comes to emotional dysregulation, it actually used to be part of the criteria to be diagnosed with ADHD, but they got rid of it because the findings and the research was just too hard to measure. So they got rid of it as a criteria to be diagnosed in the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Health Disorders. So getting into it, simply put, emotional dysregulation is the inability to regulate emotions. And obviously, having ADHD, we have a hard time with self-regulation. So of course, it's going to bleed perfectly into regulating emotions as well. There are other disorders that this is a symptom of, like borderline personality disorder or PTSD. But emotional dysregulation is definitely something that affects us ADHDers, but not all of us. About 50% of people with ADHD have a hard time regulating their emotions. I recognize some of it in myself and I relate to some of it not so much. So let me know what you do or don't relate to in the comment section below. As always, you know I love hearing from you, and if there's anything I forgot, let's fill in the blanks together, right? I am not a doctor, I am not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. This is just a passion of mine of looking into these kinds of things. So obviously there's gonna be something that I've left out, but let's get into some of the symptoms I found and some of the studies that I found looking into emotional dysregulation in ADHD. My cat is about to get into some issues. Number one is pretty familiar, and I know we've talked about this before, but the symptom of emotional dysregulation is sensitive to criticisms of others or perceived rejection and abandonment, and also teasing and, okay, goodbye, I just got abandoned. Or teasing and the feeling that you have of yourself towards yourself and your self-perception of where you think that you should be at in any given moment in life. Like, you should be better at something, or you should be at a certain stage in life and you're not. You're very critical of yourself and you hold yourself to a standard, and when you don't reach that standard, you have a hard time regulating that emotion towards yourself. And this is, I think, more than anything, something I relate to the most, that feeling of falling short. And looking into it, this is actually called rejection sensitive dysphoria. So rejection sensitive dysphoria, it encompasses everything I just said: self-criticism, fear of rejection. That feeling of being teased is just a little more painful for people that have this dysphoria than other people. And it's just like extra sensitive. I equate it to feeling like living without skin. Like, it's everything just pricks a little harder or hurts a little more. And I do feel that this is something that I relate to. I feel like I've always been ultra sensitive to slights or teases and read too into things. And even if it was somebody teasing me, it's harder for me to brush it off and just move on and let it go than the average person. I've worked on this in the past 6 months, especially in the past year and a half, ever since finding out I had ADHD. This is something I've tried to get better at, and it's something that I struggle with. So yeah, rejection, teasing, I'm just ultra sensitive to all of those things. I experience the pain of that at a very high magnitude, more than my siblings and more than my peers and friends around me. Like, I have to tell people not to make fun of certain things because I know myself well enough, and I know that certain things will really hurt my feelings. Because some things I know that I'm realistic about, some things I know that I'm just extra sensitive and I work hard to let things go, but there are some things that I'm like, I'm never gonna think that's funny. And I let people that I care about, I set them up for success by letting them know, hey, don't ever joke about that, because if you do, it's gonna really hurt my feelings, and I'm not gonna take it lightly. And so I teach people how to be my friend. A lot of things I let go, but there are like 2 to 3 things I'm like, if you joke about, it will extremely hurt my feelings and I won't have an easy time letting it go. And I'm very sensitive towards other people. So that's a pro. I think that, when you're sensitive yourself, you're very sensitive to other people's feelings. I think that's my biggest flaw and one of my biggest strengths, which sometimes that is the case. Your biggest flaw is your biggest strength. So moving on from there, another symptom of being emotionally dysregulated is basically we are impatient, we are tense, we are edgy. So our threshold and our tolerance for patience is very low. So this symptom is very interesting because I think that it looks different in hyperactive or inattentive ADHD, because I think I have an easy time sitting still. And I think I have an easy time relaxing and chilling out. I can imagine somebody with hyperactive ADHD that's sitting there constantly like tapping their knee or clicking their pen, has probably a really hard time just sitting and relaxing and watching a movie. And I know that there's just people that are like that. They just always want to be on the go. They always want to be working on a project or getting things done. That's not a problem of mine, but I do feel like I have a certain level of frustration that sometimes I experience where I'm just like really annoyed internally, and it doesn't feel like anxiety, but it just feels like a tense emotion internally, and I feel like I'm just gonna blow. Like I get really impatient when it comes to things not working out, especially when it comes to technology. Like I just want to throw my computer against the wall because it never wants to work whenever I need it to work. And so I definitely do agree that I'm impatient at times, and I feel a high level of frustration, especially when it comes to people not understanding me, or me not understanding something, or something not working out, or something not going easily, something not going according to plan. It just like throws me for a loop. I have a hard time just pausing and taking a moment to really reflect and assess a situation in a practical way without attaching my emotions to it. My kitten is running around like crazy. This leads well into the third symptom that I looked into, is mood swings. We are one to just swing that mood around like there is no tomorrow. We are a mood ring. We are a mood. I noticed this the other day. Maybe I relate to a lot more of these than I realized. But the other day I was just in a really negative mood towards myself. Really, I guess symptom number 1, really self-critical and feeling like I wasn't measuring up. And really feeling like I was falling short so hard, so extremely. By the end of the day, I was in such a good mood. It's just amazing how from the beginning of the day, I was so negative towards myself internally. And by the end of the day, I was like, oh wow, like I have such positive feelings towards myself right now. And I remembered that. I was like, it's such a far cry from this morning when I was not feeling great. And so I've anchored my memory to that. And I don't think I'll ever forget that lesson, to remember that this too shall pass, that when you're going through a hard time towards yourself, remember that it is momentary, and you just need to reflect on times in the past where it's happened to you and realizing you're gonna get through it. So take it as a lesson from me. Mood swings are a part of ADHD and emotional dysregulation. But there's always the upswing of things, that without an up, there's no down. Without a left, there's no right. When it comes to emotions, you might be going through a really hard time, but know that there's always going to be the upside of that. So this leads into symptom number 4 that I looked into, which is emotional reactivity, or impulsive outbursts, or emotional outbursts, or outbursts of anger. And these outbursts or these reactions are seemingly, especially to somebody on the outside, like over trivial things, like things that aren't that big of a deal. Again, like your computer not working, you might want to have a tendency to throw something or snap something in half, or just go off on somebody that really didn't do anything wrong, but they don't know what you're dealing with emotionally. They were just kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't deal with anger outbursts. I don't really feel like I'm emotionally reactive in a flamboyant or extreme way. I feel it's a lot of internal stuff for me. I feel like I'm very ambivalent. I blow hot and cold when it comes to people and friends and connections. One minute, like I really like you, and the next minute I'm like, I don't know what I think of that person. It's very subtle and it's very internal for me. So I don't know if you relate to that. I don't have major extreme outbursts of anger. I see it a lot in other people. Whenever people react, I retreat. So I think I shy away from being emotionally externally reactive. I don't think that I'm an emotionally outbursty type person. So let me know what you think. Do you have anger outbursts? Are you emotionally reactive externally? So let me know in the comment section below. I'm not a very angry person. I'm not very anger. The fifth symptom that I looked into is we have a hard time or a slow time getting back to a neutral emotional baseline. Like it just takes us a little longer than the average Joe to just kind of become calm, cool, and collected and rest at ease. I relate to this more so in my late teens, early 20s. I had a hard time to kind of bounce back or get to an emotional neutral baseline, because I think it was more so because I was surrounded by people that I just really surrounded myself with emotionally fluctuating people as well. So it caused me to always have a lot of anxiety and to never know when the other shoe was going to drop. So I just never knew when I could fully relax. I think who you surround yourself with is really, really important if you want to find yourself at a more emotionally calm state of being. With that said, emotional dysregulation, it's so important that you get help with this. If you don't get help, it can lead to a lot of issues in your life. It can lead to relational issues, issues at work, issues with your friends. It can lead into other comorbidities such as anxiety or depression, or you can tend to lean towards substance abuse. You can lean towards substance abuse to cope with a lot of this emotional feeling that you have. And I definitely recommend reaching out to somebody, to anybody, to a professional to see if they can help you. I definitely recommend surrounding yourself with people that know you, that love you, that understand you, because that to me was key in terms of calming down my emotions. I'm a very emotional person. I can really feel what other people are going through, and it's really easy for me to get inside someone else's shoes. I've been told my biggest strength is my emotional literacy and my ability to express what I'm feeling, because I've had so many years of just always talking about my feelings. Like that's like my favorite thing to do, is talk about how I feel, which I'm sure for some people is really exhausting. I've always been able to help people with their emotions and their feelings as well. So with that said, work on this and find help. But let's now get into the tips and just my thoughts and ideas on how you can kind of help yourself with your emotional dysregulation and the things that you should do to set yourself up for success when it comes to this. And these are a lot of, to me, no-brainers, but I think it should just be said again and again and again and again, which is to get good sleep. We're all a hot mess when we don't get good sleep. Make sure that you're eating right. Avoid sugars and carbs to the best of your ability. It is not good for this ADHD mind. Make sure that you hydrate. Without hydration, your brain is dehydrated and it's just not going to function at full capacity. Make sure to get that exercise. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. Exercise, if it could be bottled up into an antidepressant, it'd be the #1 selling pill, period. It really gets those feel-good emotions flowing through your body. Make sure that you add relaxing activities into your life, whether that be meditating, praying, being one with nature. I don't know if you saw my video on that, but that is one of my favorite things to do, is to go to a park or to go on a walk, which is exercise and being in nature at the same time. But make sure that you take time to do a relaxing exercise. And that includes breathing activities and breathing exercises within whatever relaxing activity you are doing. And my last thought or tip or thing I want to add in terms of helping with emotional dysregulation, wow, I can't talk, is to try to avoid caffeine. I noticed that the more caffeine I have in my body, the more jittery I am, the more anxious I am, the harder it is for me to regulate my emotions. I'm just a little more like at the verge of just bursting with tears, frustration, anxiety, or emotion. So that is what I have for you today. I can go on and 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 let me know what your thoughts are, your comments, your suggestions, your concerns, your insights in the comment section below. You know I always love hearing from you, and I try to get back to you as soon as possible. Sometimes I can't, sometimes I struggle, but I always strive to. So again, let me know your thoughts. If you like this video, please share this with anybody that you think might get something out of this video. Let me know that you liked it too by giving it one big thumbs up. Please remember to subscribe to this channel and to click that gray bell to be notified the moment I upload another video every Wednesday and on the weekends on all things ADHD, mental well-being, and personal development. And now you must know by now that you are all in my prayers. I really hope you have a good rest of your week. I will see you next time. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.